Spinning up a prototype for an AI agent, that can take just a few minutes, maybe even seconds. But how do you actually transform that clever little demo into a reliable, production-grade system that your business can truly depend on? That, right there, is the million-dollar question, and it's exactly what we're going to break down today.
And this quote, it absolutely hits the nail on the head. The creation part, the initial spark, that's the easy bit. The real challenge, the hard part, is building enough trust to let it operate on its own in the real world. It's really the difference between a cool party trick and a dependable employee you'd hand the keys to.
Because, let's be real, when you skip that hard part, the consequences are severe. Just imagine your customer service agent getting tricked into giving away free products, or a user somehow gaining access to confidential company data. These aren't just little technical glitches. We're talking about major business failures that can happen when trust isn't engineered into the system right from the very start.
This chasm between a cool prototype and a dependable service is what we call the production gap. So let's dive in and explore why this final stretch of the journey is so often the most difficult part.
And get this, 80%. That is a staggering number. 80% of the total effort in building an agent isn't even spent on its core intelligence. Nope, it's spent on everything else. The solid infrastructure, the security guardrails, and the constant, rigorous validation. The AI itself, it's really just the tip of the iceberg.
So how in the world do we build that trust? Well, it all starts long before your agent ever meets a single user. It's all about laying a rock-solid foundation in the pre-production phase. And we're going to focus on 3 key pillars: rigorous evaluation, disciplined automation, and building in security from day one.
A huge part of building that trust comes from using a modern CI/CD pipeline. That stands for continuous integration and continuous deployment. Now, I want you to think of it like a quality control funnel. As you can see here, any new change starts in phase 1 for super fast feedback. If it passes those checks, it moves to a staging environment in phase 2 for some really deep testing. And only then, if it passes that, does it move on to a very carefully controlled production release in phase 3. This whole process is designed to catch errors early when they're cheap and easy to fix.
Now, that final step into production, you have to handle that with extreme care. Instead of a risky big bang release where everything goes live at once, we use safe rollout strategies. For instance, a canary release lets you test with just a tiny slice of your users, say 1%, before you go wider. A blue-green deployment gives you an instant rollback button because you're running 2 identical environments. These methods, plus things like A/B testing and feature flags, are all about minimizing risk and building confidence.
But look, a safe rollout is just one piece of the security puzzle. For autonomous agents, you need what's called a defense-in-depth security model. Think of it in 3 layers. The first layer is the agent's constitution. These are the core policies you bake into its system instructions. The second is enforcement, where things like guardrails and filters act as hard stop mechanisms. And the third is assurance, where you're constantly stress testing your own defenses to make sure they actually hold up.
Okay, so deep breath. Your agent is built, it's secured, and it's live. Now the challenge shifts completely. You're not just a builder anymore, you're an operator. Your whole job now is to keep this autonomous system running smoothly, safely, and cost-effectively out there in the unpredictable real world.
The core discipline for managing a live agent boils down to this really simple, continuous feedback loop. It's got 3 parts: observe, act, and evolve. First, you have to observe the agent's behavior in the wild. Then you act on what you see to maintain stability. And finally, you use those insights to evolve the system, making it fundamentally better over time. It's a non-stop cycle of learning and improvement.
So let's break that down, starting with observe. This is all about giving your agent a sensory system. And this goes way beyond just looking at a simple dashboard. It's about combining granular logs that tell you what happened with traces that show you why it happened and metrics that reveal how well it's performing. Altogether, they give you the complete picture.
The act phase is about immediate tactical interventions. The best way to think about these are as the system's automated reflexes. So if you observe that a tool is malfunctioning or that costs are suddenly spiking, you don't wait for a weekly meeting to discuss it. No way. You act now, using things like circuit breakers or feature flags to contain the problem in real time.
And the final piece of the loop is evolve. This is where you transform those real-time observations into long-term strategic improvements. You take the data you're getting from production, you identify the root cause of an issue, and then you push a permanent fix through your CI/CD pipeline. This is how the agent actually gets smarter and more robust over the long haul.
So up until now,
We've really been focused on just a single agent. But the real power, where things get really interesting, is when you have dozens of specialized agents. The next big challenge is getting them to stop acting like isolated silos and start working together as a smart, collaborative ecosystem.
To make that happen, you need two different communication protocols. The first is MCP, which is for interacting with simple tools. You can think of this like telling an agent, use this wrench. The second is A to A, or agent-to-agent protocol. This is for delegating to other agents. It's like asking a mechanic, fix my car. See the difference? One is for a specific task, the other is for a complex goal.
Let's make this super concrete with an auto repair shop analogy. A customer uses A2A to talk to a shop manager agent. The manager then uses A2A to delegate the job to a mechanic agent. Now the mechanic uses the MCP protocol to operate its tools, like a diagnostic scanner. And if it needs a part, it uses A2A again to communicate with an external supplier agent. It's a perfect example of how both protocols work together to get a complex job done.
Okay, let's pull the camera back and put all of these pieces together. From that very first line of code, all the way to a continuously improving system, all these concepts form a single, integrated lifecycle that we call AgentOps.
So here it is, the whole journey. It starts in the developer's inner loop for quick prototyping. Then it moves to the pre-production engine, where automated gates make sure it's high quality and safe. From there, it's released to the production environment using those safe rollouts we talked about. And finally, it enters the continuous evolution loop, where all the data from production fuels the next great idea. It's a beautiful cycle.
So after all of that, you might be asking, what's the ultimate point? What's the real payoff? Well, while AgentOps for sure prevents failures and reduces risk, its true value is velocity. We're talking about the difference between a slow, winding path and a direct, high-speed rocket. Mature practices let teams deploy meaningful improvements in hours or days, not weeks or months. It completely transforms your agent from a static product into a service that's constantly evolving. Okay, so what are your next steps? If you're just starting out on this journey, my advice is to focus on the fundamentals. Create your first evaluation dataset, set up a basic CI/CD pipeline, and get some good monitoring in place. But if you're already scaling up, your focus should shift to automating that feedback loop from production back to development and standardizing your communication protocols.
And that brings us right back to where we started. Building the agent, that was just the first step. After everything we've covered, from automated validation to layered security and continuous evolution, the real question you have to ask yourself is this: are you truly ready to bridge that gap and conquer the last mile?